First off, remember that our Moodle, we are kind of a week behind, right? So while this is week 4, and I've opened week 4, the assignments we're doing is week 3. We're going to try to catch up so that at some point we're current. I hope that's okay with everybody, but it's easier to do that than it is for me to every week move all the assignments from the previous week into the next week. I mean, there's a lot of shifting that goes on. It's a pain in the tail, really. All right, so I'll remind you every week, and in the notes, I'll put this week 4 working on week 3 kind of thing in there, right? The due dates should be correct. I'm changing those, so if they're not, let me know, right? So I try to make the due, even though the assignment is in the wrong week, it should have the due date for the correct week. All right. Due to the lag, doing the live video tutorial seems kind of unworkable. I'm still gonna week 4 is a year. All right. Well, thank you. Week 4, we're not in week 4 technically yet, so I haven't fixed those. Right, but I'll make a note to self. Right. Fix dates in week 4. Right. But anyway, making the videos live like this and recording them isn't the best solution, I don't think, because I have to wait for. First off, you can't sometimes see it live because it's 2 minutes behind what I'm saying, so that seems kind of ridiculous. So if I wait, then that's adding extra time into the video when I could just kind of be more expeditious and fast about it, right? So the plan is to make videos of the content before I go in Wednesday, upload them, right, and then I'm going to try to do them ahead of time so that next week 4, actual week 4, should be up by Wednesday afternoon. And so I expect you to watch the next week before Monday morning. Is that clear? Right. So if I make a video if I upload it Wednesday, you'll have 3 or 4 days to watch that video. Try to do it while watching the video, and that way these Mondays will be the time to ask questions and that sort of thing, right? We're kind of flipping the classroom a little bit. So I hope that'll work better. Not sure, but I think it's a better idea anyway. All right. Because we didn't even finish the chapter from last week, and that's what we're going to try to do this week, right? So this week I'm going to try to give a tutorial live and then create a video as well for it and upload that, right? So we're going to finish up chapter 2, I think it was, and then we'll move on. More than one person had issue with where to start and where to end. I know my assignment descriptions they lack something, right? Because last year this time I was teaching in the classroom, and most of my assignment descriptions I gave verbally, and I didn't bother to give florid descriptions in Moodle because I was talking to my students in class. Obviously, I have to fix that. The biggest problem being that I tell you to start at this place in the book and end this place in the book, and now I don't have page numbers to tell you, so I'm gonna have to do it graphically. And if you look in the notes, that is where this week starts, and this week's end will be, let's see, the end of the chapter is where I'm planning on it, right? So let me see, pencil and paper, powerful tools. Don't really need that. Well, really, the making decisions in code. Let me go down to the end of that. So I'm not sure what page that. If somebody wants to tell me making decisions in code, I don't know what page it starts on, but you should work through. you can stop at making decisions based on user input. You can read that, but I'm not going to require you to do that, right? So I'm going to put that there. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but if somebody wants to annotate those page numbers in the notes, you can do that as well. All right. So page 32 to end of chapter 2. Basically, yes. Like I said, if you should read the making decisions based on user input. I think it kind of jumps the gun, kind of showing you how to do that, but it's useful information if you want to. If you're a programmer, then by all means read it. If you're an artist, you can feel free to skip over that for now, anyway. All right. Okay. Thought all the announcements I'll be behind. All right. One thing. Let's see. That I didn't get to last time was the. Let me go ahead and share here. Let me. I'm not firing on all cylinders this morning. All right. The concatenation, right? Did I share that with everybody? I'm not even sure. Does everybody have access to the concatenation? I don't know if you do or not. Concatenation lesson. Don't think you do, actually. Right. If it's just a blank screen. Hey, this just popped up in the back. What's the point of submitting the whole project if it's just a blank screen? Well, it shouldn't be a blank screen. So when you ran it, it's a blank screen. Is that what you're saying? Well, we created a. Were you in the class when we did it? That's one of the things I'm about to get to. I think the code is supposed to output through the UI text. The code in the book. Now, everybody listen to this really closely, right? And I'll put it in the notes as well, right? The code in the book does not create anything visual. Right? In fact, first off, it doesn't even send anything to debug log, right? The first things they show you, right? Most of the book outputs to debug.log. All right. Debug the log, the console is not visible to the end user, i.e. me. Right, so the log doesn't do me any good. It's only for the programmer's purpose, for debugging the program. That's why it's called debug log. Right? So if the book's always pushing the debug log, we have to have a way of showing some output for me, right? And God, shut up. Do I need to redo the assignment, or is the code I sent long enough? If you sent the code, we're okay for now, right? For this assignment. In the future, it will not be enough because I want to see that you can put output to the screen, right? Has anybody ever played a game that didn't have any text on it in it? Any at all? Yeah. I would question whether you're no text at all. Nothing. I mean, I haven't myself. Anyway, most games, almost all games, have some text in them, right? So knowing how to put text on the screen is obviously a necessary thing, right? So that's what we're going to learn, and we're going to make sure you know how to do that today, right? So that's what we're going to focus on today. There is a video and a slideshow called Concatenation. The video, let's see, you should be able to see that. The video is just me walking through the slideshow. The slideshow I will share with you right now. So let me do that real quick. So in just a second, you'll get an invitation to the slideshow. That should hopefully make everything clear. And we'll walk through that in a minute. All right, here we go. Share. Send. All right. So now we're going to talk about concatenation, right? Which is a big word for a little thing, right? So we're going to do that right now because you have to know how to concatenate to do what we need to do on the screen with this text, right? So here we go. I'm going to share content. Share Firefox. All right. Chat on. All right, so concatenation. Everybody see that? Hopefully. And I try to get clever. A tale of two or more strings, right? So concatenation is, right? In general, it just means linking things together, right? In programming terms, it means merging two strings together, right? All right. So a string is, and a string we talked about when we talked about variables, right? A string is text characters, right? Anything, any kind of text. It's addition when you're talking about strings, right? Because you use the plus operator, right, to combine two strings together. So it's like you're adding them together, yes. When you use the plus between two strings, it's called a concatenation operator. When you use it between two numbers, it's called the addition operator, right? Because it does two different things. Different but similar. All right. So how do you do it, right? You have two more strings. You simply use the concatenation operator between the two or more strings. This works with string variables and string literals. So let's see how to do this. Excuse me. All right, so here's some text. Here's some code, right? In C#. So you have string st equals first string literal plus second string literal. You have string st2 string literal plus string variable, right? Let's throw this up in Unity. It might help, right? So I'm going to create a new project, and we'll call it. Now this isn't something you have to do, but if you want to work along with me, by all means do so, right? This isn't an actual assignment. I'm just doing this to show you how to concatenate things, right? So, what? And I want you to make 2Ds. I don't need fancy stuff. I need to get going. All right, Cameron. I will be throwing up video. This video will be up Wednesday, and the actual video for the rest of chapter 2. All right, so make sure to check those out, and next chapter for next week. So I'll make sure to check all 3 of those out. All right. All right, so while we wait for the Unity to open, I'll go through the rest of this. All right. All right, so what we're getting at here, right? We're using concatenation to create output that I can see in Unity, right? And it helps for creating useful debug output as well, right? Because when you're programming, you often need to know the value of a variable, and what you do is you send that to debug log, right? But if you just send the value, and you'll just have a bunch of numbers in your console, and you won't know what they mean, right? So usually we put a label, and then we put the value after it, right? And to do that, we need to concatenate. And what we do is when outputting variables for debugging purposes, always make it easy to read. Use the format variable label equals variable value, right? So, example, you want it to look like x equals 10, right? Okay. So to do that, right? So notice this is a string literal concatenated with a string variable, right? So this would be the debug log statement. All right. And so you have debug log, and then you have the string literal, which means it's in quotes. Plus, then we have the actual variable, right? And when you output it, you see string var1 equals hey, all you people. All right. Reading ahead in the slideshow, is this the only way to set variable equal to a string? Let me see. It's the only way to set a variable equal to a string. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I mean, this is a variable, like here, output text.text equals string var. Player name equals Jeff. Variable equal to a string. If Jeff is a string variable there, that works. Or if you put quotes around it, then it would be actual Jeff, right? The way you wrote it there, there's not quotes around Jeff, and that would, if Jeff isn't a variable name, yes, that would be correct. Yeah. You can also set it to the value of a variable, which is very common, right? Which is what this is doing. The string var1, right, is a variable, right? And the string var1 in quotes is a string literal, and you're combining both of them, right? And this is what we'll have to do in our projects, right? Oops. So what you're going to see, right? What you're going to be doing for the at least half of this semester, right? The first half of this book, you're working with text, right? And in the book, you'll see a debug.log statement like this, right? And that I won't be able to see. So every time you see a debug log statement like this, the very next line, you should echo that in an output text.text statement. And you don't have to name it output text, but that's the way I name it. So if, just to keep consistent, you might want to, right? All right. Appending, right? Adding to the end. If a string already has a value and you would like to add text to the end of it, you can append text by concatenation. You could do it this way: string var, string var. See, string var equals string var plus added text, right? But it's easier, right, to do it this way: string var plus equals more added text, right? And I'm gonna demonstrate this here in a second. The plus equals operator adds to the end of a string. So, right. So let me walk through this now that I have Unity open, right? So let's create a script, right? So I know this is a simple project and don't really need to do this, but I'm gonna create a scripts folder anyway, right? Open that up, create C# script, and we'll call this concatenation. All right, then I'm going to open this project the correct way by going to Assets, Open C# Project. Is anybody lost right now? What's the lag? What are we lagging at? Is there any lag? You can't see the clock. Oh, damn it. All right. I need to see. All right. What's the clock say now? You should be able to see it. Yeah, because I was sharing just fire, still nothing. So there's probably a lag, right? So it should come up shortly. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen now. So let me undo that again. All right. As a note, right? 9:30. All right, that's good. You may have noted that, I don't know if you did or not, but the YouTube video I shared last week, I shared privately because I realized that I had all your names are in there and I didn't really want to share them publicly. I didn't figure you might appreciate that, right? So, and I might have to do that again. That was one of the reasons I was just sharing the Firefox screen, trying to limit how much of your names are on there. But anyway. All right. So here we have a blank and basically empty script here, right? So we're going to do some text work. So we need to say using Unity engine .ui, like that, and we're going to have public text output text, right? Okay, so we have this output text. Let's go back into Unity. All right, so we're in Unity. We're going to take that concatenation script we had there, and we're going to stick it on our main camera. All right. All right. Now we're going to create that UI text that we need. All right, so we'll say UI text there. And now I'm going to, let's see, there's the text there, right? So we're going to anchor it right there in the middle. Actually, I'm going to start anchoring it top left. And then I'm going to move it out just a little bit. What this will do is kind of give us more of a console feel, right? Because text always starts at the top left and scrolls down. And I can just make this text object really large so it almost acts like a console, right? But now I'm going to change the HUD corners. Okay. Yes. And let's see, I'm going to turn it bright green. And then I'm going to just go to the camera, kind of a pain, and I'll make it black, right? I'm about to do something here. All right, let's make we're going to call our text object output text because that's a good way to work. And I'll make it a little larger so you can see it. All right. Now one more thing. Let's go. This is one of the issues I had when I record these is that I can obscure your names over here in the chat, but when I'm working in Unity, I always have to move your chat around, and then obscuring it requires me to obscure it in several different places, and that makes it a very tedious process because every time I move it in the video, I have to create another obscure box, basically, right? So, I mean, if I can keep it in one spot, I can obscure it for the whole video, and then it's not a big deal, but if I have to move it around all the time, it kind of is, right? So, and I like working at a full screen Unity window, but I think I'm going to have to just suck it up and not do that, right? So I'm going to do this. All right, because your chat box always covers up my inspector, or I might have to just change how I lay out everything, but you get used to one layout, and that's what you like to stick with. But anyway, click on the main camera. That's where our script is, and you'll see. I don't have that. What? I didn't save my file, or did I? No. Point. See that little circle there? That means you haven't saved your file, right? So I'm going to actually put this in our notes. File is not saved. If you don't save your file, you shouldn't be surprised that the changes that you made didn't show up in Unity, right? So I'm going to put this in our notes real quick. Right, notes there. That little dot means you haven't saved your file, right? So I'm going to save it now. I'm going to say Command S and watch what happens to the dot. It goes away, right? What it is see, now it turns to an X, which means you can close the file. If the dot's there, you try to click it, it'll say this file hasn't been saved. Don't you want to save it before you close it? If you click it, the X now, it just closes because it's been saved, right? That's why the dot shows up there. It's kind of a warning that, hey, you haven't saved this file, right? All right, so now if I go back to Unity, watch what happens. See, now we have an output text right there. So now we want to connect our output text in Unity with our output text in our code by doing that, right? Okay, now we can play with concatenation and actually do what we're here to learn, right? So let's do that. Lag check. Are we good? Yep, awesome. Well, that's a rarity, right? So here we are. Now we're going to actually do some stuff from this. We can come back to our concatenation thing and just work through this real quick, right? So if you want to, just work along with me, right? So we're going to, let's see. We'll go through this. We need to find it, how to do it. We'll do that real quick. All right, so public string string literal 1 equals, what does that say? st. That's just said st, right? Equals literal 1, right? And let's see. I had errors in that. So this is when you actually code outside of a code editor, right? Because that string variable, right, isn't actually. Yes, I don't know what I'm doing there. That's weird. All right, we're going to ignore that because that's crap. I'm going to have to fix that. All right, so Jacob, what's your issue? That you tried to write my crap code? Okay, that would be you missed this part right here. You have to using Unity engine.ui. Guarantee it's not there. No, it doesn't matter. We're using Unity. You have to use using Unity.ui at the top of your code here. Can you see it? Well, it wasn't there, but the text still hasn't. Did it autocomplete? So you do have using Unity UI in there. This. There's two issues here, right? Sometimes autocomplete would just break down. That's a kind of a that is a that's a Visual Studio issue, right? First off, how did you open Visual Studio? Did you double click on the file, or did you do it like I said and go to Assets, Open C# Project? All right. If you go back in that video, you or one of the videos, you'll probably hear me say you should always open it by going to Assets, Open C# Project. Because, and I said, sometimes it'll work sometimes by double clicking, but sometimes it'll screw up. The connection fails, right? The connection, there has to be a connection between Visual Studio and Unity, and sometimes when you double click on it like that, it doesn't work. That's why and I used to double click too, but then I had that problem and I learned that the safest bet is always going to Assets, Open C# Project. While it's still open, you can always go up to Assets, Open C# Project and see it if it helps. But you'll probably have to quit Visual Studio. You might have to quit both Visual Studio and Unity and restart Unity and do it that way. The public part has changed color, but the text part hasn't. That's because it's not recognizing Unity. See, Unity has all its own libraries, right? And Visual Studio won't recognize those libraries if the connection between them has been severed, right? So you have to make sure that connection's there, or it won't work. So I would quit both of them, start Unity up, and then go to Assets, Open C# Project, and see if that fixes it. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and go because I'm recording this anyway. And I don't think you're gonna struggle once you get this. Once you fix that problem, I don't think you're gonna struggle with the rest of it. So, all right. So I have a public string st, right? String bar. So I'm not going to follow my tutorial exactly here. All right. So I'm going to use st. So I'm going to say debug.log, right? St plus equals plus st, right? And this is going to be syntactically incorrect until I come in here and do this, right? So here you have a label, right? The label is inside the quotes, and then you have the variable, which is right here, right? So let's just go try that. And this is not going to print to our screen yet because we haven't got to that point. And I've got to hurry up because I'm running out of time. So let's go to Unity. Let's make sure I save that. I did. All right, so this should open your console because that's where it's going to show up. Run it, see what happens. All right, you'll see down here in the console, st equals string literal 1. All right, so let's stop that and build on that. All right, so this is what we're going to have to do in all of our assignments going forward, right? So we have just created a debug log. Now we're going to echo the output of that into our output text, right? So output text.text equals, and then the easiest way is to copy everything between the parentheses, but not the parentheses, right? Because you don't need. So I'm going to copy that, paste that there, semicolon. Sometimes the colors just break down, and that's a Visual Studio thing, and you can hit the Microsoft forums and tell them they suck. I don't know. Sometimes that just, if it's working, if the auto completion works, then that usually means the connection's there. I don't know why the colors aren't changing. Color is just a flavor. Yeah, and the colors help. I mean, the colors are a big help, and you want them to be there because they do help, but there's something going on with Visual Studio. All right. So now we should get output on the screen that echoes what's coming in our debug log. So let's just try that. Right. All right, so we do, right? And this is important because this is what we need to do for the majority of the semester, right? So we're going to be echoing what's coming into our console onto the screen, right? Are we clear so far? Because I don't want to move forward if we're not. Any questions about that other than the Visual Studio breaking down? right, not really. All right. Well, let me know. All right, so let's see. That works, right? And know the difference. This is important. Refer to this tutorial as much as possible. Just ignore the code mistakes I made in the first few slides. Right? All right. But debug log is a function, and as such, it has parentheses around the text that you want to send to the console. Right. Output text.text is a variable, and you're just setting that variable equal to a string, right? So it doesn't need parentheses. You can put them in there, but it looks odd, and I think most programmers would think you're not up to snuff, basically, if you did that, right? They would think it looks odd and that you don't know what you're doing. Even though it wouldn't create an error, it just doesn't look right, right? So anyway, next. Let's see. There are often times where you need to add text to the end of a variable you've already created, right? And to do that, we can append it, right? An appendix is something at the end, right? Something extra. So we're going to do that here. Like we're going to add something to output text now by saying output text.text. We're going to say equals output text.text plus this. Actually, let's do it another way, right? So we're going to say you can append it to the output text, or you can put it to the variable itself and then re-output the text, right? So we're going to do the latter way first by saying st equals st plus this is more text, right? And then we'll say output text dot text equals st. Actually, this isn't going to do exactly what I want to do, but anyway, you'll see. All right, so this, and here we get string literal. This is more text, right? Which is what we would get with this code, right? Because you could have done this plus equals, right? All right, so plus equals just shortens this, right? String var equals string var plus added text, right? To this string var plus equals, right? It's a shorthand way of writing that. Hopefully that's clear. So the plus equals operator adds to the end of a string, right? So here we have string var 1 equals hello, output text.text equals string var 1, output text equals string var plus 1. I did that twice for some reason, not for sure why. Output text plus equals world, hello world. All right. Why did I do that? I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to edit in real time here. All right. All right, so and then I just said this, right? Debug log versus the UI text. Debug log is a function that places the output in the console for the developer to see. This output is not seen when the program is run by the user. The UI text is a property of UI text object. This property is changed by the code written in the script. The output will be seen by the user, right? The console, this is important, right? The console always starts a new line every time debug log is called, but when sending text to our GUI text, we have to do this ourselves. We use the new line character, right? And that's how we end this thing, right? So, say here I add some text to this. If I wanted this on a new line, I can put a new line character there, right? That looks kind of sloppy. You can also do it this way, right? You can just do it by itself, but you got to concatenate the two and do backspace. It's backslash. All right, everybody get that? Backslash, not forward slash, backslash. They're different things, right? Forward slash will not work. It'll just print it, and I'll show you that in a second. All right, so I'll save that. Stop. Run it again. All right, so now you have two lines of text, right? That's very important because basically you want to insert that new line character at the end of the lines so that the next line starts on the next thing. It looks more like the console when you do it this way. All right, I'll just show you. Let's stop that. Forward slash does not work. Watch the color changes too. You see the color doesn't change when you have the forward slash because the backslash is called the escape character, and it creates those invisible characters that are in text. You know, if you click that little paragraph thing like in Word, and you can see all the invisible characters, those are the characters that are created with that backslash. Right. So backslash N is new line, backslash T is tab. What's some other ones? Those are the two ones you have to really know, right? Like if you put a tab here, you say, I think this will work. Yep. So you put a tab there, for instance. So it tabs it over, right? But that's kind of. But anyway, there's just called escape characters, right? We're almost out of time, but I did get through most of that. All right. So we didn't actually do much programming this time, right? I'm going to create a video for the rest of chapter 2, right? So it will contain everything from where we started last time, and I think that Jacob that put it in there, or Landon, one of them, Landon, I think, put the page numbers in our notes for us, thankfully. Yep. Up. Thank you. Awesome. How do What? I hate when Google Docs breaks down. All right, I'll have to do that in a minute. All right. Note using backslash N when you have no previous line is not a good idea. Really? What did it do? It should just put an empty line in it. Did you put it in update? Note that I'm working the start function, not the update function. I don't know why it would make infinite lines in the start function. If you do this in the update function, you will have, it will. If you do it's the plus equals that will probably crash Unity because it's going to infinitely print text to the screen. So I'm not sure what happened there. Because I could show you. Let's see. Actually, I'll do. This is called a multi-line comment, right? So I can comment out this text entirely, and just to test what he was saying, right? So output text dot text equals new line, right? I'm not sure what caused that. Doesn't it should just print a new line, one new line, right? Mine's, I mean, you don't see anything, right? And I could say so let's just try that. When is the update method? The update, no, that's a good question. Very good question. 1 second. Let's just check mine first, right? So you can see there's a blank line and then the afternoon line. All right. I'm going to put this in the notes because that's a very good question, and I don't know. I'm going to have to copy this as it says, right? It won't even let me. All right, there we go. Copy. All right. When is the update method called? Very good question. Yes, Jacob already answered it, right? Every frame, right? Yes, around 30 to 60 times a second, right? So you don't want to put anything, you want to be very careful about what you put in the update method, because you can, if you put too much stuff in there that causes a lot of programming expense, right? Very expensive programmatically, computationally, you can crash Unity, right? It'll lock up. So you don't want to do that, right? Update should be for those things that you absolutely have to be, checked every frame, right? And there are things to do that, but you'll find that beginning programmers tend to put everything in update because they know it's going to get called, right? So your journey towards being a professional programmer is learning what to put in there and what not, right? Is basically. And I don't know. Yeah, if you put that new line character in there, it would cause some problems, right? And if you're appending it to the output text, it would cause problems, because what you're doing is you're creating a text object that is going to get infinitely large, and to the point it gets so large that it can't handle it anymore. Now, if you just set it to that, here we can try it, right? Like if you just set it to that, it shouldn't cause a problem because it's just resetting it every time, right? So if I do that, let's try it. In fact, I'll even put something in there so we can actually see. Right? Update, right? And we're about out of we are out of time really, but we'll just see. If you need to go, you can. If you want to stick around for the fun, I'm about done, right? So, so this is updating, right? You can't see it updating, but it is, right? If we wanted to really show this, we could go. Right? We want to see that it is, in fact, crap. Right? Just we'll go in here and do this real quick. All right, if you have to go, you can go because it is time to go, right? I'm gonna finish this up real quick. All right, see you, Jake. And I just want to show, right, Let's see, it already updated. All right, so if you run it now, you'll see that, very quickly we're up to 180. Yeah, so that shows you how many how quickly it updates. If you collapse it, it's easier to see. You see that number is up to 700 already, right? So that can be a problem, especially if you do this, right? And this is where you're gonna. I'm not gonna do it because I think that's what happened. But if you plus equals that, right? You do that, then every frame you're adding that to that string, and that can definitely cause some problems. Pretty sure some actual virus working. Yes, certainly they do. It's kind of like almost a denial of service kind of thing. Yes, you're overwhelming the processor with useless data, basically. Yes, you're right. All right, so I didn't really teach you anything about game development today or programming in general. This is just how to join two pieces of text and how to show text in all our projects going forward, right? Yes, exactly. Very good. So hopefully that made sense to you. I will be creating videos for the actual content of the chapter now, and Wednesday I will be posting them, and I will post videos for the next week's assignments as well, and that's how we're gonna work from now on, right? So that on Monday, I hope that you have watched the videos and tried to do them by Monday, and then I can answer questions. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that's a feasible way of going forward. But if we have issues, we'll deal with them as we get through it. But we'll get through it somehow. As always, email me with questions. We can do private WebExes if you need to. But just let me know.